very proud this morning to have Alison Davis talk about women in leadership. She's been very fortunate to sit on 5 public boards, and she was sharing that experience. But the theme today, I feel, is women in leadership. Of the 17 companies, we have a lot of women on boards, we have women in leadership or CEOs. Alison was sharing a lot of great comments. I really want to know about the next generation. How can my daughter, how can my grandchildren get involved? Not only guys, but girls get involved in technology. There's a statistic that says only 7% of the women in the United States are on boards. Well, let's change that. Here at Kretzu Forum, we have 3,000 angels throughout the world in 51 locations. Most angel groups are less than 10% women. We're up to 20%. In fact, some of our best deal flow and our exits come from our women. So Alison's going to come on next and talk about innovation. Thank you. Very proud to have Alison Davis on the stage with me. She's on our advisory board of Kretzu Capital. She is amazing. I love going to your home during Christmas and watching your 5 kids play music. My talent is this, by the way, you know. And but you have such talented family, and not only that, I give all the credit, Matthew, to your wife, by the way. But she is also on 5 boards of one of her companies. She engineered a disposition of the company. And she's going to tell you about those 5 boards. But the theme here is women in leadership. But we're going to go even deeper than that. In fact, of my 53 investments at Kretzu, I try to make sure we have women in leadership, whether it's on the board, whether it's business development, or better yet, as CEO. And I'm going to do a shout out. Steve Butler's in the room. And I got to put my glasses on for this. Where's Steve? Is Steve in the room? Well, he's here. So he writes for our local paper. I live in Orinda, and business technology. That's Mercury News. I don't know if you read this. Gender diverse companies could represent the next, quote, safe port in the storm. And so we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about so much more. Please welcome Alison Davis on the stage.
I think so. I think I'm mic'd up. Is that working? Okay, great.
So let's talk about angel investing first, and then we're going to drill down all the great subjects. And please get ready. The whole spirit of Kretzu's participation. So, hands, if you're interested in questions, we'll do questions about 15, 20 minutes. So you've been an angel investor, Alison, for 20 years. Lessons learned?
Well, first of all, definitely be part of an angel investing network. And Matthew and I being involved in Kretzu since the very early days. And by the way, congratulations. I mean, it's incredible to see how this thing has grown and expanded, and you can almost visit, you know, any region of the world and find Kretzu members. So the whole swarm intelligence, you know, for sure is a huge factor in making better investment decisions. So I would say that's my number one.
Yeah, I love panels when we don't talk about wins, we talk about losses. Any lessons learned from any of your losses, Alison? She didn't know I was going to ask this.
Yeah, you know, well, bad timing. I mean, you know, just part of the lay of the land in financial services. You know, there are a lot of things that now are being very successful that 10 years ago, a lot of entrepreneurs tried and it seemed smart, but it just didn't work. But for me, the big one is leadership teams, right? Is this group of people really committed to take your money and try and get a return on it? And we've had some real disappointments where, you know, things were tough, the original plan wasn't quite working out, and the team got a great offer from some swanky company and just bailed. Right, so I sort of look for that tenacity, that passion, and people who really take very, very seriously that they're using other people's money and will go through thick and thin and climb mountains to find a way to make it work.
I believe you were on the board early of Linda Jacobson's company, and that was sold, I believe, for $150 million, which was Kretzu Forum Portfolio Company. Linda traveled the world. I could never get a hold of her, but tell me about that experience, and tell everybody what Les Concierge does.
Linda founded Les Concierge probably 10 or 15 years ago. It was her second company. So her first company, Dispatch Management Services, she created from nothing. Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO of Twitter and Square, was one of the young analysts on the team. And it was a very innovative technology to basically do what Uber is doing today, but sort of well before its time. So she really had a lot of scar tissue experience, really good CEO, entrepreneur, how to start something, but not only build it and scale it, but take it public. So she took her first company public, and I was one of the board directors that went through that experience with her and took it public. So, I trusted her leadership and her skills, and I was involved early on with Les Concierges, and then I stepped off the board. But Les Concierges was the world's biggest concierge services firm. And so when you use your, Platinum credit card, or if you own a Jaguar, or if you are a top shopper at Nordstrom, then they would offer their customers this sort of special concierge service, and that was provided by Les Concierges.
So for the women in the audience, or for the men also that have very special women at their side in life, let's name your 5 boards, or 4 you sold, your 5 boards, and also speak to their hearts on if they're interested in the evolution of getting to a board position.
Okay. Well, right now, the boards that I'm on the board of the Royal Bank of Scotland, based in the UK. So I go there 9 times a year for board meetings. And the Royal Bank of Scotland in 2007, I don't know if many people know this, but it was the world's largest bank. And then it almost went under, and the British government had to rescue it. And so it was the world's biggest almost bank failure. And the GDP of the bank was bigger than, the balance sheet of the bank was bigger than the GDP of the United Kingdom. So it would have taken the country down. So the government had to step in. It owned 84% of the bank. The people of the United Kingdom were absolutely furious with the leadership, the board, the regulators, everyone who let this happen. So it's been quite a journey there. I've been on the board since 2011, and we're still many, many billions later of fines and write-offs. And,
and remember, 5 kids, of which 4 are potted, and 1 is still at home, and she goes 9 times a year. Okay,
Yeah,
Royal Bank of Scotland. Next company.
And then second one is Unisys, which is one of America's oldest technology companies. And it's in the process of reinventing itself. It has some of the most incredible technologies around security and mission-critical systems. And it does a lot of work for governments globally. It powers a lot of airports around the world. They do a lot of work for border security in a lot of countries, work with the FBI, et cetera. So it's a company that was very large. It's shrunk a lot. It sort of lost its way. And now it's trying to reinvent itself around its incredible technologies in security. So that's really interesting when you're part of a big legacy company that is sort of the phoenix rising from the ashes. And we have a fabulous new CEO in there, and changing the culture of the company. So that's been really fun too. And I've been on the board there since 2011 also.
Great. And third?
Third is Fiserv, FISERV, which is it's like a $25 billion market cap company that provides technology to the U.S. banking sector. It's mostly in the U.S., some revenues outside the U.S., but 90% in the U.S. So, every time you get a bank statement or use your credit or debit card, Fiserv is, or you send money P2P to someone in your network. A lot of the time, Fiserv is the technology provider behind.
And I assume all these opportunities, the hockey stick since you joined, right?
Not all. Some. I mean, they're all very different situations. But yeah, Fiserv is a powerhouse.
Yes, absolutely. Number 4
keeps doing well. And number 4 is a company called Ooma, OOMA. It's right here nearby in Palo Alto. And I've been on a lot of boards over the last 15. 20 years, and this is the 4th time that I've played the role of audit committee chair, taking a high growth company through the IPO process to become a public company. So I did that not long ago with a company called Xoom, XOOM, which is sort of a competitor to Western Union, global remittance company. It was backed by Sequoia and NEA and other PE firms, and we took it public. And then I'm doing that again now with UMA. We just took it public about a year and a half ago.
Nice. And last but not least, your nut company.
Yes, well, so Diamond Foods, I'm no longer on that board because we just sold it last year to Snyder's-Lance. But that was really fun because for me, I'm a financial services person, so I do a lot of financial services boards and technology boards. But that was the first time I've been on the board of a company with real product. And so my kids and my friends, Diamond Foods owns Kettle Chips, so all the fabulous flavored crunchy chips and emerald nuts and
at your house, I always ate nuts.
exactly, various other sort of healthy snack products.
So, getting back to the other part of the question, tell us how to navigate an opportunity to be on a board, and it can be an early stage board. Obviously, it can be a public board. But is there any lessons or tricks or I know it's all about relationships, but maybe you can share some anecdotes to share wisdom here.
Well, I do think a lot of people don't think about serving on boards. I mean, a lot of people do think about serving on boards, but I'm often surprised at how many people don't think of it as sort of a rewarding, worthwhile form of work. And I absolutely love it. I mean, all the interesting issues come to the board, right? Is the strategy the right strategy? Do we have the right leadership team? Is it time for this CEO to move on because the company's in a new phase and we need someone else? Are the management team missing some key risks that we're taking? They want to do this acquisition. Is that really the right thing to do? So it's all the interesting issues, but you're not up there at midnight sweating, with a difficult negotiation or doing performance reviews for people or, writing a PowerPoint for a meeting you have the next morning. So you tend to sort of be there ad hoc for the team when they need you and then come to 3, 4, 5 board meetings a year.
Are you concerned about liability, Alison?
For sure, especially in financial service, the financial services boards, I think you really need eyes wide open before you jump on a bank board. And, the level of personal liability, if your bank goes under and you are considered to be a negligent board director, then the regulators can come after you and your personal assets far more than they can.
Yeah, and also a secret, if you're intrigued by this and you don't want to be on a public and or private board because of liability issues, and you have to really check on if they have the insurance policy at D&O for you. Yeah. But you can also sit on advisory boards and get the same compensation if you negotiate it. I sit on several of them, and I stepped down a bank board, and now I'm chairman of the advisory board the last 7 years, and get the same package without the liability. Yeah. So that's another way to interface with the startups where you don't always know what's going on, but also, looking at the San Francisco Business Times a couple months ago, I saw all the women in leadership in the Bay Area boards, and I mean 2 or 3 boards. I mean these women were making anywhere from $800,000 to $1.5 million of compensation without the warrant and or the other coverage. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a great way to make a living if you need it.
It can be very lucrative, but it can also, as you say, it's sort of risk return. But mostly I just find it very rewarding. But a group of people in this room today represent a skill set, capability, and orientation that is really, it's very much lacking on public boards, and there's building awareness that public boards need more digital capability, knowledge, experience, people who interact with the new technologies and understand digital marketing and millennials and how to scale companies. And so I think it would be, there are a lot of companies looking for board directors from this part of the world who have a lot of experience.
Another resource for you, above and accessing Alison all day, is we have a TV show at Kretzer Forum called Kretzer Forum Presents. You can Google us and just Kretzer Forum Presents. I think I've done 14 programs. Is Jim Lucier in the audience? Jim Lucier is just retired from Dell Ventures, and before that he was a VC for 20 years. He has sat on 23 boards, so we had a program on, really a very fun program on, what's the role of a board member. He asked me questions. It's very tricky. I mean, who are you representing? I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm going to put a Kretzer Forum member on a board. Well, guess what? He doesn't represent Kretzer Forum. He represents the board, represents the company. And it was a fascinating conversation. So check that out. And that's Jim Lucy and myself talking about board activity. How many advisory board members are sitting in the audience right now? 1, 2, 2 dozen? How many board members in the formal board members? Wow. Do we have any public board members? One. May I ask you which one? How's it going? Great. Isn't it fun? It's so much fun. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was on a bank board once, and we fortunately got acquired, we capitalized 16 million. We had a secondary 23, and we sold for 75 million. We grew at 330 million under management, but 23 million we sold for 75 million. So I was very proud, 4x to our shareholders.
Yeah.
And it's really great when you see that liquidity. And do you ever get thanked from your shareholders when you the nut company? That was a great exit.
Say that again. Do you ever get what, Randy?
Thanked
Thanked.
by your husband.
Yes. I mean, public shareholders, the big ones will sometimes pick up the phone and say thank you to the chairman, but it's not that common.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have great balance to my right. So we have a mother. We have obviously a tremendous businesswoman, also an author. Her books came out today with Matthew, and they're going to do a second book shortly. That's coming out. And so last question, and this question was typed by her husband, not by Alison. It says, you have 5 children, and many of your members have children too. What are your hopes for the future for your children?
I don't know. Well, we think the future is, we're on the verge of some incredibly exciting things that will change life as we know it for all of us. But I don't know. Our kids have been, always encouraged to do. They're all very different, so encouraged to do their own thing. But what I wish for them is that life is an adventure for them and has many different chapters. That they see failure as an opportunity. Failure, we always point out to them, something bad happened. That was great. There's no such thing as comfort and growth. If everything's going well, you don't grow. So when you fail, it's usually a good time for reflection.
Yep.
And then community, your family and your friends are the most important thing. And there's incredible people out there in the world. So go and meet them.
So you guys travel all the time. And young kids, when they intern for us, they think they're learning from us, but we're learning from you. You guys are the target market. And I want to speak to some of the younger kids here. Build your community early. This is about community. I'm blessed to have Swarm Intelligence around me, be better, more efficient investor, and hopefully making an impact in the world. My wife and I love social bottom line investing. Do a shout out my son who's not here, but he was fortunate because he's been in the tech community, enterprise sales the last 6 years. Well, he was very loyal to his company called Clearside, but he got taken in early January to WhatsApp. App Dynamics.
Yeah.
So App Dynamics, this was so wonderful about what's happening in Silicon Valley. App Dynamic valuation, IPO, first registered IPO this year at $1.9 billion. Cisco just closed last week, took them out for $3.7 billion. Isn't it a wonderful time? Did you see Apple earnings yesterday? Oh. So with that, enjoy each other. Oh, let's do one question for Alison before we conclude. Also, last year I had Astro Teller up here, speaking of failing fast, of Google X. I had Governor Brown out here, but I really wanted you here because I personally am a better investor when I invest in companies with women. And also I have so much respect for you. Randy.
Alison, what, as leaders, investors, or perhaps educators, what can we do to elevate women in leadership roles and in entrepreneurial roles?
I think that's a great question. And, I often, it's such a huge issue in the boardroom, in corporate America. How do we get more women CEOs, division presidents? How do we get more women on boards? And there's a lot of work to do. We as women need to sort of get our mind around this and decide we want to seek these positions and support each other in going there. It's crazy that women are 60% of college graduates and only 2% of CEOs. We don't have a voice in the power positions in our country. And so there's work we as women need to do, but I think for men, just really encourage the women in your life to go for it, to not be afraid, to believe in themselves. And as male leaders, I often tell the CEOs or the board directors, women often will not raise their hand and say, I want to be a division president, or I'll throw my hat in to be CEO. So you have to go get them and say, I really think you're qualified, and you might not get it, but please throw your hat in. This company needs you, I support you. And, women really do well when they feel that type of, pull. You're needed, this company wants you, I believe in you. So I think that's one thing.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Alison
thank you,
Davis.
Randy.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Well, here's an ask for you. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. We have our next expo. Actually, it's going to be a pure investor-only expo in November on real estate. One thing unique about Kretzer Forum, 25% of our deal flow in the Bay Area, we've done over $500 million of equity in real estate, is going to be on real estate solely for investors, members. And also, if you'd like to see more content at Kretzer Forum, go to Kretzer Forum Presents on YouTube. We have a series of 14 shows, and we're very proud and excited by that. Thank you so much.